Okay. See, we have a few people coming in. Thank you for coming. We're just going to get started in the next couple minutes. But while you're here, please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat so we know who we're talking to. Put your website in there, put your Instagram. You know, this is an opportunity for us to get to know you and also for you to connect with each other. So today, what we're going to be talking about is the Artisan Accelerator at NextFab. This is our third or fourth cohort that we're taking in. Fourth, thank you. And this is an 8-week program that specifically helps people build sustainable business models in small businesses, craft-based businesses, designers. Hi, Rose. Thanks for coming. And so this is just an info session to answer your questions, give you an overview of what the program is like. You can have time, we'll have some time to actually answer specific questions about your applications, your business, if this is a right fit for you at the end. So while we're waiting for more people to come in, let me just quickly run through what we're going to be using today. So at the bottom bar, you'll see an option that says Q&A. While Ben and Todor are presenting on what the program is, if there's questions that come to mind, throw them into that. And at the last half of the webinar, I'll go through and address those specific questions, and we'll have some time to answer them. If you can't find that, the chat works too. I'll be looking at both. Like I mentioned, we're going to have 30 minutes of presentation and then 30 minutes of Q&A at the end. And this recording will be available after the webinar. I see a few more people are coming in, so thank you for coming. We have some people already introducing themselves in the chat, so if you want to throw in your name, your Instagram, your website, just so we have an idea of who we're talking to, please pop it in there. We're going to get started in probably the next couple minutes. Oh, I see we have jewelry designer. Hi, Freya. Juice Box Workshop, very cool. Nice to see you. Thank you for coming. Hi, Andrew. And just to, for those who are just coming in, I'll just reiterate what we're talking about today. So today this is an info session for NextFab's Artisan Accelerator. We're going to be answering questions about what the content of the accelerator is, both business services and NextFab services, talking a little about who is eligible for this program, and then we're going to be leaving ample time at the end for questions. So if you have specific questions about your business, or as they're presenting, you have a specific question about what they're talking about, you can put your question into the Q&A button that you'll see at the bottom. And at the end, I'll go through and address all of those questions. And we'll hopefully get into some really specifics to help you be a good candidate for this program. All right, thanks for coming. I see a lot of artists in here, so that's great. You're in the right place. This is the right program for you. Okay, I think with that, we're going to get started. So just a little bit briefly about what NextFab's Artisan Accelerator program is. NextFab, for those of you who don't know, is a makerspace in the Philadelphia and Wilmington region. So we have shops that people can become members of. You can learn how to use the tools here. You can operate a business out of here. But in the last 2 years, we actually launched an accelerator program specifically for the arts and craft members in our space. So this is an 8-week experience that gives artisans and entrepreneurs the essential tools, support, and structure to focus on things that matter to build a viable business. Unlike other accelerator programs, the Artisan Accelerator is specifically designed to help artisan entrepreneurs craft profitable business models, reach new customers, build sustainable companies. This program is open to the public, but as a part of the program, you become a NextFab member for 8 weeks. So with that, I'm going to introduce our 2 speakers here. If you want to go to your next slide, Ben. So today we have creator and author of the program, Todor Raykov. He is the person who actually designed NextFab's Tech Accelerator a couple years ago, probably 5 or 6 years ago at this point, maybe longer. And he really took what he learned from that program and tailored it to artisans. And then second guest today is Ben Fries. He is the manager and facilitator of the program. So he'll be able to answer specific questions about past cohorts, how you can get the most out of the experience of being in the accelerator, among other things. But do you want to take a moment to introduce yourself, Todor and Ben?
Sure, I think that was a pretty good introduction, but thank you once again, Anna. My name is Todor Raykov, and I'm excited to be here today and learn about your businesses and answer any questions you might have about the program. As to when we started the other accelerator program, I believe this was maybe 6 years ago, so time flies real fast. But yeah, as you said, we managed to implement some of the best practices from that other program into the Artisan Accelerator, and also make changes to the Artisan Accelerator so that it best meets the needs of the people who are part of this program.
Yeah, I think, hello everybody, my name is Ben Fries. So I've been working closely with Todor to kind of take the program that he developed and create it and kind of continue to tailor and refine it down based on the feedback that we get through the folks that we work with. And one thing that I think is super fascinating about this program is that it is kind of still like a sandbox kind of atmosphere where we can take the needs and the feedback of the entrepreneurs that are going through it and implement it within the program itself, or kind of push it along to the next group so that we kind of are targeting the most needed things for the people that we work with. But as far as I am, I work at the North Philadelphia location, and I work with a lot of the folks that rent space with us. So doing like technical consultations in woodworking, light metalworking, and some CAD and CNC operation. So I kind of have a base in some technical skill as well as administering this program. And I'm really excited to be here and talk about it a little bit further and answer your questions so we can make sure this is the right fit for y'all. So I guess I can just take it away here, Todor and Anna, if that's all right.
Go for it.
Okay, cool. Okay. So what is the actual program? To reiterate, it's an 8-week program, and the 8 weeks is primarily the business component of the program. So through those 8 weeks, there are 3 meetings per week with different teams of business consultants and business experts. So they range from folks that have a more conversational tone, that kind of just want to check in with you and workshop what is going on in your business that week. And those sessions are oftentimes really helpful because the folks that are going through the program just get to talk about the problem that is facing them immediately. And not only, well, the instructor helps facilitate this conversation, and there is some structure to it in terms of the general ideas and concepts that he's presenting. The community dynamic between the folks when they're talking with one another is something that we found is super helpful and super valuable to the folks that go through the program. So that's kind of one of the sessions. that runs for, I believe, 6 weeks throughout the program. So that's 6 consecutive sessions with the same instructor and obviously the same group. Then we have some other folks that do more, have consecutive sessions, but do more rote exercises, whether that's developing an elevator pitch or working on your business model canvas. These are activities that you can do that you fill in. They'll give you this piece of paper. Sometimes they ask that you do these activities on the spot and workshop it as a group, but sometimes it's given as homework. So we have instructors of a range of styles that are just working on developing your business fundamentals, your business kind of dashboard, because all of you folks are probably already have skills in your field and you're making some cool stuff. But what this program does is kind of allows you to focus more on the business side of things, which oftentimes that's an area where a lot of folks want to develop, but maybe they didn't go to school for that. So we want this program to kind of focus on the business component of your practice. So other than the instructors that come back and teach multiple sessions, we also have specific folks that come in and talk about one topic. We have our internal marketing team and our marketing manager, Rebecca from NextFab. She comes and she gives a presentation about her approach to marketing NextFab and just her kind of technique and thoughts about what it takes to market yourself on social media, on print, through video and TV. So she comes and she presents, and then she'll also do a 3-day, you get to schedule like a 30-minute meeting with her to workshop one piece of your kind of marketing strategy. So that could be your website, that could be your approach to attacking Instagram, that could be going to be printing out what I want to workshop, like what my display is going to look like for selling my work. So really whatever you want to talk about with Rebecca in terms of the marketing strategy that you're going after. In addition to the marketing consultations, we're putting together some programs that focus on getting artists and artisans kind of to the front of the line in terms of getting grants and getting loans or micro loans. Whereas the grants are preferable, there are a number of ways that artists can get an infusion of capital that will kind of help them level up, because oftentimes you might need to invest in a piece of equipment, you might need to pay an outside expert to do some work that's not right in your wheelhouse. So that's one session that we're going to do for this cohort, and that's something that, based on the feedback that we've gotten from past groups, that's kind of the biggest impediment to kind of their reaching their next kind of plateau, their next kind of goal. So that's going to be a session that we're going to do this time around. And although it's not confirmed yet, we're also looking to do a session on getting your products into the retail environment. So the idea of that session is to have a few panelists from around the Philadelphia and Wilmington areas that own retail boutique stores that you may want to get your work into. So the idea is to kind of have these folks come and talk about what they look for in folks that are making the type of work that they put in their stores. And also, these folks are usually creators themselves, so it'll kind of be a dual-edged conversation about kind of their journey and where they're at today, and hopefully that'll be helpful for y'all. So that's kind of the 8-week component of the program. The meetings are on Mondays from 12 to 2, on Wednesdays from 5 to 7, and on Fridays from 2 to 4. So those are kind of the primary meeting blocks. And that goes for 8 weeks. The culmination of that component of the program is going to be a craft market that is building wide, or if some of you have been to the NextFab North Philadelphia facility, we have a number of other small businesses that are within the building under the same umbrella that have some of the same values that NextFab has. So this market is going to be themed around sustainability in craft, and that's going to be our culminating graduation event. So all of y'all, if your work kind of falls into that category of someone who does like table and sell at events, you all be invited to that. We can kind of pop some champagne, have some food, and kind of have a good time. So there's going to be a graduation at the end of the business component of the program. But then after the business component of the program, you do still get 2 months of NextFab membership, of standard membership. So from the beginning of the program on March 23rd, you get 4 months of access to NextFab facilities. So what we often find is during that first 2 months, this program is a little bit intense because it is a lot of meetings. Many of you folks have other jobs, other priorities, other, kids, you're working a full-time job that's just your side hustle. So it is a little bit intense. So sometimes we find that folks don't get into the studios as much as they would like to. So that's why after the 8 weeks of those 2 months of business programming, you get an additional 2 months of access to the NextFab equipment and facilities, education, and you basically can come in and continue developing your ideas, developing your products. So although the program says 8 weeks, the kind of access to the facilities is a little bit longer than that. And before the ending of the program, you also get a consultation with the NextFab technical advisory board, or I would call them more a critique team, where we get our subject matter experts in the different areas at NextFab, or in the field of craft, of art, of artisan goods and making. So that could be textiles, woodworking, jewelry making, and we kind of get a more diverse team of folks that have knowledge in different areas, have worked in different fields, and as a part of the program, you can schedule a meeting. I believe it's an hour-long meeting where all of those team members kind of take a look at your work and kind of give you feedback about what we think is working, what we think is not working, and how to best approach using the NextFab facilities, because we're all employees here, we work here, we know the equipment and its capabilities and where you could really accelerate maybe one part of your process. So that's a meeting that comes within that 8-week time span. And we found that has been super helpful because it gets folks primed to use NextFab services as effectively and efficiently as possible, because you want to make the most of your time. And during those meetings, other resources come up. As we've been around for a long time, we've been doing this program for about 2 years now. We have places that we can connect you with, whether that be casting houses for jewelry, suppliers for textiles or wood, or consultants in terms of individuals that we've worked with in the past that will be helpful for you to speak with. That's kind of the main thrust of the program. We do the 2 cohorts per year. So there's this one, which is called the spring of 2022, and then we'll do one in the fall of this year. And for the number of participants, we accept 6 to 8 entrepreneurs. Above the 8 number, we find that the groups become a little bit more, it loses kind of its personal kind of touch. Just the number of people in the room kind of sometimes influences the tone or people's level of comfortability, kind of like speaking up for themselves. So the small size is kind of where we've kind of resolved to make sure that these programs are most effective for everybody. And
we did have a quick question about, can you repeat the days and times of the meetings again?
Yeah, so I'll go to this next slide here, and you can see there's written down here. So on this 2 to 3 meetings per week, every Monday, I think I might have said 12, but it might be 12:30. At 12:30, and then Wednesdays from 5 to 7, and Fridays from 2 to 4. So those are the dates and times for the business module of the program. And then the NextFab membership component of the program, that is, you can utilize the membership during NextFab's operating hours. So for example, I work at the North Philadelphia location, and we're open Sunday through Tuesday, 12 p.m. to, or 12 noon to 8 p.m. And then Wednesday and Thursday from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. So those are our business hours, and that's when you can come in and use the facilities to either just work on your laptop. If you want to get out of your house, I know the pandemic has been quite a strain on everybody. So you can come here and just work on your laptop and be in an environment where you're around other people doing creative things. Or if you actually want to come in here and do work and get onto some of the sewing machines or use our computers to do some of the digital design work, that's completely up to you. But and maybe I've said this already, but the business classes and sessions are all going to be virtual. So that will be through, I believe we're going to be doing that through Zoom as well. And obviously, if you're going to come into the spaces, that will be in person, but for the most part, the business meetings will be virtual through Zoom. Okay. So some of the benefits of the program is we have the live online workshops, which I've kind of outlined in terms of the different kind of flavors of instructors that we bring to the table and their different approaches to teaching and to mentoring people with growing their business. We have the weekly roundtable meetings, which I kind of alluded to in terms of one of our teams of instructors has a more conversational approach to it and just kind of wants to help you talk through what you're going through. The access to NextFab's, all of our locations. So this program, we want to bring in entrepreneurs from the Philadelphia and Wilmington areas. That's where our kind of main facilities are. We have 2 in Philadelphia and 1 in Wilmington. So you get access to all of locations. There's 3 in total for 4 months, and you get a $300 credit for paying for classes and also machine time. So the machine time component is some of the equipment, the computer controlled equipment, such as laser cutters or CNC routers. There is a runtime fee associated with that, just because these are very expensive machines. A lot of cost goes into the maintenance and the consumables that go along with us. And you also get access to the community of folks that already are using our spaces. So speaking for the North Philadelphia location, we have about 30 to 35 folks that rent our studios, and these folks range in professions and skills from cabinet makers to textile artists to gemstone experts to sign painters. So there's a very wide swath of people here, and they're all pretty willing to talk about their work and share their experiences. So that's definitely also a component of the program, is the broader ecosystem NextFab brings to the table. So Todor, I will turn the presentation over to you if you're ready to take it over.
Sure.
Cool.
Can you advance to the next slide?
Is it not
Yeah, we can see the topics and areas covered, but yeah, I can talk about this as well. So Obviously, we're going to talk about e-commerce a lot during these sessions with the different business coaches that we're going to bring. We're going to bring an expert who is a CPA to talk about tax. We're going to bring an attorney to talk about all the legal issues about, related to starting a company, also intellectual property, contracts that you might have with folks. And as Ben already mentioned earlier, we're going to talk about a lot about business operations. We're going to have sessions where the entrepreneurs in the group are going to work on their own spreadsheets that are essentially going to be the spreadsheets that are going to turn into their business dashboard. And these dashboards will show the entrepreneurs whether they're actually making money during if they're with the way that they're running their operations right now, or they're losing money. And you'll be surprised because many people who come to us, they have been in business for quite a while, and they don't realize that the way they're running their businesses right now is actually going to end really badly for them, because they're losing money. They're not going to be able to sustain this business in the long run if they continue to do so with the way they're running operations right now. So that's why these workshops on the business operations and creating these dashboards using a very simple spreadsheet are super helpful, and we have received great feedback from entrepreneurs in the programs. And then if you can advance to the next slide, it actually has some testimonials from people who have gone through this program. And as you can see, some of these folks are really excited about the opportunity to be a part of a program like this, because it really helped them scale their businesses in a matter of months. But I would like to use this slide to just talk about the reason why NextFab has this program in the first place. So when we started the program, we did it because we wanted to help our existing members. The program was only, it was closed to only people who are existing NextFab members. And we did this because we were seeing all these great makers, artisans, creators who are creating amazing products, and they were selling these products, and nevertheless, they were losing money, and they were, in some cases, they had to close operations and get a full-time job instead of focusing on what they're really passionate about and focus on building these businesses that they have into something that sustains them and sustains people around them. Because if you're successful in this business, you might be able to get some interns, you might be able to get contractors to help you out with your projects, and it's a win-win for everybody if these businesses succeed. And we decided to launch this program to provide some of the essential business building blocks that some entrepreneurs need to scale their operations and figure out what they need to do in order to turn these businesses into a success, instead of losing money and maybe quitting their job and focusing on building something that is never going to succeed because they don't know how to turn this into a success. And you'll be surprised, some of the people who came to us, they were in business and they went through the program and they realized, you know what, this is not for me. This is too much pressure. I would like to work for somebody else instead of building my own business, which on the surface might sound bad, but it's actually a success, because if you think about it, if these people are going to lose money for years and struggle for years, it might be better for them to either figure out a different way to do things or focus on something completely different. But the good news is that most of the people who go through these programs are actually super happy with the help they get, and they realize that they can do this. With the right tools and resources, you can actually do this and succeed if you're really passionate and if you have found the right target customer. And all of this is something that we discuss during these sessions with instructors. So you'll be able to see more of these testimonials on our website if you'd like to. And some of these people are actually going to come to the group next time, and they're going to talk about their experience, not only in this program, but when they started and how they move forward with their business and what they're doing now and what their future, what they think they're going to do in the future with their ventures and with their businesses. Ben, can you move to the next slide? So who is eligible to apply? So everybody who is already generating revenue for in their business. We tend to tell that this program is for people who already have a fire that is burning, and we're just adding some fuel and making this thing burn brighter and stronger. versus somebody who has an idea and they haven't tried it, nobody has bought anything from them, this program might be a little bit too advanced for you. So until you have some initial sales, maybe you can just postpone for now and apply when you have just a few sales, so that you have a better idea of who's buying, you have a better idea who this customer is. And when you join a program like ours, you'll be able to figure out how you can generate more revenue from your operations, how you can upsell some of these folks who are already buying from you, or how you can get them to spread the word and tell their friends and relatives about this great product that you're making. Ideally, would like to work with people who are full-time on their project, but in some cases this might not be possible. So if this is a side hustle for you, but you're really committed and you want to make this happen, if you can join these sessions on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and you learn from the people in the group, and maybe you can teach them something as well, because we have actually realized that some of the best value you can get from a program like this is just talking to other entrepreneurs who have been there, done that. Maybe they're making some mistakes right now that you have done in the past. Maybe you can teach them something so they can avoid doing that and focus on the things that work. So if you're committed, if you're passionate about building your business and spreading knowledge and learning from others, and you're coachable, I think this program might be a great fit for you. Ben, can you move to the next slide? So where you can apply, you can go to our website, the Artisan Accelerator page. Currently, I think we have around 40 applications, and we expect to receive a lot more just a few days before the application deadline. That's always the case. Unfortunately, people are procrastinating. I would encourage you, if you consider applying, apply now, so that we have more time to review your application, schedule a meeting with you if we think that this is a strong application, get to know you a little bit better. And if we have additional questions, we'll have some additional time before the deadline to ask these questions. Because if you apply at the very last moment, we'll review the application. We might have an initial interview with you, but we might not have enough time for additional questions that might pop up. So our committee is going to review the top applications, and out of these, we're going to select either 6 or 8 entrepreneurs to participate in the next program. And as Ben mentioned, the reason why we have such a small group is because we want to make sure that this is as beneficial as possible to the people who get accepted. Ben, can you go to the next one? So when you submit your application, it's good to really focus on the questions that we're asking. You'll be surprised, but many people, they submit an application and we have these 2-sentence questions asking you about the particulars of your business and your situation, for example, and we get the 1-word answer, and it's not great. So if you can just spend a little bit more time crafting your application, I think this will make it a lot stronger, and it will increase your chances of getting accepted. And again, if you're not making any sales right now, maybe consider applying in the future. If you're making more than $5,000, maybe you're past the stage where this program could be beneficial to you. Maybe you can be an instructor, maybe you can come to give a presentation about your success. But typically people who apply, they generate anywhere between $100 to $2,500 per month. That's the typical amount that we see in applications that make it to this program. Ben, can you go to the next one? So if you don't get accepted, and the likelihood for that is very big, because as I said, we have around 40 applications. We're probably going to have around 60 at the end of this, or maybe even more. And we're going to accept only 6 or 8 people. So if you don't get accepted now, don't get discouraged. Apply for the next cohort. We actually encourage people to do that, because between now and the next application cycle, you might be able to make some progress, and you might be able to craft a stronger application. And we keep track of previous applications. So when we see that you apply again, and we see your answers before and your answers now, it might make for a great case for you to be accepted into the next program. But if you don't get accepted right now, there are some great free resources that you can take advantage of. regarding if you live in Philadelphia, there is an organization called SCORE. They have chapters actually both in Philadelphia and Delaware, and actually across the entire nation. So you can get a free mentorship service from this organization. They're financed by the Small Business Administration, and they have around 10,000 volunteer mentors. Some of these mentors are retired business executives, some of them are marketing experts, and these folks are there to support entrepreneurs like yourself. So if you need some help in a particular field, maybe it's marketing, maybe it's e-commerce, just go to one of these websites. There is a national website, score.org as well. You can go there, you can create an account, and you can search for business advisors, and you can just get some feedback on what you're working on, and maybe they can provide you with some additional resources. Another great provider of free content for business owners is the Small Business Development Center. There are a few in the Philadelphia area. There is one at Temple University, but you can go to americassbdc.org and you can locate a business development center in your area. And you can always join events like the ones that we have today. I mean, some of them are very educational. Anna is doing a great job bringing experts who can talk about various topics like marketing and e-commerce. And you can take advantage of these resources and attend and ask questions. Speaking of questions, you can always email artisans@nextfab.com. And we'll be happy to answer your questions there. Typically takes about 24 hours to get the response from us, but we always get back to you. And I think that concludes our slides, and maybe we can take some questions.
Thank you, Ben and Todor. And I just put this in the chat. We had a question about the fall application window. I don't think that's set yet, but the application for this spring is in 2 weeks, February 23rd. So you have some time to hustle and get an application in before that's over with. But to turn it over to questions, we had a few pre-submitted questions, but now is the time, if you have questions about your specific business, your eligibility, Ben and Todor will be here through the end of the hour so they can answer those questions. But just to kick it off with some of our pre-submitted questions. So first off, what are the professional resources available to the Accelerator students? I know you touched on this, but I guess, can you give some highlights of who the professionals are coming in to talk to the group?
Yeah, I just want to, in terms of the fall 2022, these are all tentative dates, but just to give you the folks here an idea, we're looking at sometime in July to open the application window, with the application window closing sometime in August, and the program running from September roughly to November. So those are some, I know, broad strokes, but just I want to give everyone a general idea of when they should maybe tune in again if they're not, directly in touch with what we're doing over here. So those are just kind of broad strokes in terms of when the fall window is open. So in terms of, I kind of went through this a little bit in terms of the folks that are going to be kind of the business consulting. We do have the different teams of instructors, and as I was saying, they all kind of have their own teaching styles and methodology. I would say that in terms of some folks are teachers around the Philadelphia area at different universities. We also have some internal team members that come and present. So we're kind of pooling talent, not only within our NextFab staff, because the folks here, there's some, we have an internal team that does some of the technical stuff, that does sales and marketing, that does all these different aspects of NextFab's business. But we also bring in consultants that are external consultants for the folks for the program. We also have folks that are members, that are experts, that are professionals, that want to give back to the community of NextFab. And so some folks are, lawyers, or they're doing digital marketing, or they have a sales position, or they're a CPA, and they're within the NextFab network. And they kind of, although they're not going to commit to doing many sessions, they'll come in and give, an hour and two of their time to kind of give back to kind of the community that we've built here. And some of the folks that have already been through our past versions of the program are usually super willing to come back and talk to the group about their experience with the program, but also their success on different levels within the kind of craft, artisan, visual arts kind of like area. So I would say it's kind of a pooling of resources from the Philadelphia area, the Wilmington area, different universities, and our internal NextFab community.
Thank you, Ben. I think that gives a good understanding of who they'll be talking to during the program. Did have a quick question I see in the chat of how do we know if our application was received? You should get a confirmation that it was received in your email. And if you don't, email artisan@NextFab and we can confirm it for you. The next pre-submitted question we had was, what programs does a NextFab member or applicant to the program need to be fluent in before entering into this accelerator?
Okay, so the actual tools that we'll be using to conduct some of the video conferencing and some of the activities will be kind of your Google Sheets is one, Zoom. So these are that's what we'll be using to kind of administer some of the instruction in terms of what Todor was saying with building your kind of like dashboard of where the money's coming in, where you're spending it. That's usually Google Sheets and Excel if you have Excel. And then in terms of, there's also a lot of just kind of printed out PDFs that we go through that you kind of just write on, or you print out a few copies of and then you write onto. But in terms of the software programs that are used to do some of the digital design work that you might want to wade into when you come to NextFab, because say, for example, you want to do laser cutting, or you want to use the CNC equipment that we have here, there are a kind of a whole range of programs that you can use, but that is not applicable to everyone that's coming into this program. So while that software is available to you, so kind of like at a high level, like the Adobe suite for kind of doing some print copy work, but we also have technical drawing programs that are available that are more for drawing something digitally to create physically on the equipment. So I know that's kind of a high level, broad stroke here. It's kind of in that technical consulting session that I mentioned, that would be something that we could kind of, if you had a specific goal in mind, we could advise you specifically about what software would be the most appropriate to kind of take on, because there's a lot out there. So I don't want to say like this and this, because while there are some like industry leaders, I kind of approach it on a case-by-case basis. And that's kind of my philosophy, because I don't want to say, go learn Rhino or go learn Illustrator, because I just don't know anyone's specific situation. So that's kind of a high level answer, I'd say.
Yeah, I think Ben, like you said, if you made it to this webinar today, you can make it to the events, because they'll be over Zoom. And yeah, the program is catered for individual. So I think if you're interested in doing it, we do teach it at NextFab. We did have a question come in live from Patricia. What is the cost of the program?
That's the good news. This program comes free. So you actually get access to NextFab for 4 months if you get accepted into this program. And again, the reason why we decide to do this is because we want to support the entrepreneurs in our community. And then we open the program to the public and start accepting entrepreneurs who are outside of NextFab right now that could benefit from these resources that we have available. And maybe right now they don't have the financial means to afford membership, but by providing them with the training and by providing them with some of these additional resources, some of these people are now in a position to actually afford membership at NextFab and even rent space from NextFab. So it's a win-win for everybody involved, the participant, NextFab, and the entire community, and people who want to buy some of these amazing products produced by the craftspeople at NextFab.
Great, thank you, Todor. I see a quick question about how much does it cost after the 4-month free trial. It is, if you're going and continuing your membership, our membership is $219 a month. So if that's something that you want to do after your 4-month trial, you can talk to Ben and we can get that set up for you. Yeah, and I think the big thing too is certifications you earn during this program at NextFab. If you're not ready to start immediately after, you can rejoin within a year and get back on those tools. So just a good thing to note. One of the other questions we had come through is, can I participate if I work a full-time job on top of my side business?
I think maybe we answered some of that earlier, but yeah, if you can commit to joining these sessions on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and I saw that there is a question about that. The Monday sessions are typically 2 hour long. I believe they start at either at noon or at 12:30, so you end around 2 p.m. or 2:30 p.m. And then on Wednesdays, we meet at 5 p.m. until around 7 p.m. And on Fridays, between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. Some of these meetings might be shorter, maybe an hour and a half versus 2 hours, but you should probably plan to attend all of these or as many of these as possible, because I tend to say that this program is essentially a mini MBA program. I went to a business school, and when I was designing this program, I was actually incorporating some of the best things I learned from going to a business school, and I just got everything down to just 8 weeks versus going there for 2 years or 1 year, depending on your program. So that's why this program is very intensive. Some of these instructors, they've been in the business for quite a while. They're amazing coaches. I think some universities would like to have instructors like that, but these folks, in many cases, they have their own consulting practice, and they have been helping businesses like yours for a number of years now, and that's what they do. So I think if you get accepted, you have a lot of fun learning from these people, and they're very supportive. Even once you graduate from the program, you can still go back to some of these folks, ask them questions, connect with them, and I'm pretty sure they'll be willing to answer a quick question or two.
Great, thank you, Todor. I had another pre-submitted question about eligibility. So this person, I put my consumer product sales channel on hold about 6 months ago. Prior to that, in 2020, I was generating about an average of $1,000 a month. Is it worth submitting my application if my plan is to restart with consumer products?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, submit your application. As I mentioned, we get a lot of these, but if you maybe have a website or an Instagram account, I think that will give us a pretty good idea of the status of your business right now and whether you'll be potentially a good fit here or not. And I'm not sure if this is the same person who just submitted a question in the chat, but yeah, I mean, you don't need to provide us with receipts or contracts or anything like that. You can just send us a link to your Instagram account or maybe your website, and I think that will be it. And if we like your application, again, we're going to invite the top applicants to a quick video conversation around 30 minutes to talk about your application, your specific needs, and then based on the information we gather from that meeting and your online application, we're going to bring all of this information to our selection committee, and then they're going to decide whether your application is going to be accepted or not.
Thank you, Todor. We have one more question, and we have some time. So if people have questions about their application, please feel free to ask them now. Just had a quick question from Kimberly. I see, yes, the recording is going to be available after this. And the program is meeting 3 times a week, just to reiterate. Is that correct? And we'll be sending out the slides. So you can see the slides, see all the details that Ben reviewed earlier. So you can determine if you have the time for this. Any additional questions about businesses, about the application, eligibility? We still have a few more minutes.
I just shared the link to the program's website as well as our email address. If you have any questions after this presentation, just feel free to send these over there at artisan@nextfab.com. And again, when you submit your application, spend some time to craft a nice application, but it's not going to take you an inordinate amount of time to submit an application. So I definitely encourage everybody who thinks that they have the time to participate in these sessions between March and May to just apply and get to know us a little bit better. And maybe we can recommend some resources, even if you're not accepted into this program.
Thank you, Todor. And we just got a question from Leah. What are some of the attributes aside from income that you look for in applicants? That's a great question.
Yeah, some of the things that I personally look for is somebody who is really committed to building their business. They're not just experimenting, they are determined to make this thing a reality, and they're going to put in the work. They're going to share resources. They're going to be coachable, because we have seen people who are not coachable at all. They meet with some great instructors and then they don't listen to any feedback at all. If you don't want to listen to feedback, maybe you don't have to participate in the program like that. But if you want to learn from our folks and share your knowledge with other people, you might be a perfect fit here.
Thanks, Todor. And just got a question to see if, can someone resubmit their application after hearing what you guys said today?
Yeah, I don't think you have to worry about it. I think we read your application and I think it's being reviewed by the rest of the team right now. So I think it's a strong application. But if you feel like there's much more that you would like to share, feel free to resubmit the application.
Great. Yeah, you should feel less nervous then. And can you talk about what will be discussed during the Google Meet phone call, during that selection process?
Yeah, so we're going to ask you a few questions about the origin of your business, why you decided to start this business. We're going to talk about your product, your market, who you think are the best people who are going to purchase from you. We're going to talk about your experience as an entrepreneur already, because we have people who have been in working for corporations for 10, 15 years, and they have that experience, but they don't have experience running their own business, and that's fine. But we just want to get a better sense of who the applicant is, because from this quick online application, we can gather only as much information, but having this video conversation with you give us a little bit better idea of who is the person behind this business.
Great. And had an additional question about the weekly meeting structure. I know you covered there's going to be a roundtable and then different types of workshops, but how long typically is it? And can you just give us an idea of what that would look like?
Yeah, so generally I would say that the meetings you should block out about 2 hours. Some of the meetings are a little bit less than that. So Mondays is kind of the day where we do the roundtable, kind of conversational. That's when you meet with that instructor. Wednesdays goes with more some of the going through some exercises about the business. So some of the business model canvas and the elevator pitch. And Fridays is more often than not presentation kind of focus. So you get a little different flavors each kind of meeting. And for all intents and purposes, you should be approximating 2 hours for all of those meetings. And just to reiterate, I guess the slides will go out, but that Monday meeting is 12 to 2, Wednesdays from 5 to 7, and Fridays from 2 to 4. And we kind of hope that you can make as many of these meetings as possible. That's one thing that we look at when creating these groups, is if you can actually attend, because there's a power in everyone kind of being on the same journey, the same kind of trajectory, the same kind of wavelength, and attending each session and kind of being a more cohesive group. So just, it's helpful for us if you're honest with yourself and your time commitments. If this spring version of the program is right for you and you can fit it into your schedule, that's great. If you don't, if you think it's going to be like, maybe something is going to happen, some life event, you might switch jobs, or you might have more time in the fall, then definitely, like, we're going to be doing this program in the fall, we're going to be doing it in 2023. So please reapply to those. We're going to be here doing it. So we want to work with as many people as we can, but we need to keep that small group size to keep kind of the intimacy of it together.
Thank you, Ben. And just before we close out, just would you be able to review who was in the previous cohort? What types of products are they working on, just so people can get a sense of who has been accepted in the past?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, on a high level, or one thing I'd recommend is to go to our testimonial page on the NextFab website, and that has testimonials from the folks that have gone through the program. So you can look and see the work that they've been producing kind of on social media or on their website. But to give you an idea, we've worked with jewelers in the sense of folks that are working on getting their work put into a casting house. We've worked with jewelers who are doing wedding rings and kind of more custom pieces and not going for that kind of volume. So really focusing on high dollar commissions. We've worked with screen printers. We've worked with visual artists. We've worked with metal workers. So doing architectural metalwork and sculptural metalwork. We've worked with textile designers that are focused on doing like small batch, like drops, I guess you'd say. We've worked with, I guess I'm trying to classify, I guess that would be a visual artist, someone that was doing like mobiles. So really a whole range of folks, woodworkers, I didn't mention that, folks that are making, are using the laser cutter to do kind of different smaller kind of products. So really a whole range of folks, I would say. Anyone that can benefit from the business consulting and the access to the facilities that's making goods kind of, and it has some of the same values that NextFab has, of kind of trying to keep the culture and the local economy of these makers, and kind of making sure that the city and the people kind of realize the value of these folks and kind of the life that it brings to the city. So kind of, no, I'm kind of going on here, but really a whole range of folks, I would say.
Thank you. Yeah, and Mariel just asked quickly, I'm an artist, carpenter, woodworker, lots of different things that I make and sell. Should I use this program to focus on one or the other?
Yeah, you might be able to use a program like this to just figure out what works best for you financially. Because if you have a ton of products, but maybe one or two of them are generating 80% of your revenue, maybe focus on that. And once you have more substantial revenue that you generate, maybe you can focus on adding additional products. But we've noticed that if people spread themselves too thin and do too many things at the same time, this is typically a recipe for disaster. So it might work for you to focus on one particular thing, but we don't know much about your business right now, so I would abstain from recommending something, but definitely take advantage of a resource like this program to find your answer.
Thank you. I think that's good advice, Todor. And so we just are at 2 o'clock. Thanks for everyone who stuck around for the whole thing. I'm putting in the chat our link to the Artisan Accelerator page. This is where you can submit your application. And like Ben and Todor mentioned, you can email artisan@nextfab.com to ask any additional questions that you may have. We will be sending a follow-up email tomorrow with the recording, the slides, and their contact information, so you can reply to that too. And be on the lookout for additional webinars. We will be doing more business-focused webinars in the next year, bringing in some of these experts that Todor is talking about to just have 1-hour conversations. So we'll keep everyone in the loop about that. Thank you so much for attending, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Yeah.